education is put upon not just African people, but all people. Its purpose is to control and to contain in a box. And if you ever step out that box, you will then see a world that is outside the box.
As my pen inks, my mind speaks divine bloodlines, abstract concepts, metaphors, and simplistic sublimes. My delivery's okay, but my writing's another time. Zone of its own like honeycombs and armies inside of my mind. I think it right, it kick it, then go and hide in the furrows and the jungles of Jamal's hidden eye. Caught you staring, maybe glaring, still I will not comply with the status quo. It's freedom, bro, that I hold on high. Hip hop, holy scripture writers always collide with the masses who wear glasses blocking vision inside. If upper classes with the passes mean that I'm verified, conversely would a failure guarantee that I'm vilified? Choose to reside, yes I, that's right, Jamal outside county lines. For the city limits, games that give me cluttering time. As fast as camera flashes, yes I read the symbols and signs. The birds and the vines, the bees and trees, they all intertwine. I live outside the box where my system knocks something abstract. Let my mind think before my eye blinks. Watch my dirty soul, don't let it sink. I stand naked as me. I live outside the box where my system knocks something abstract. Let my mind think before my eye blinks. Watch my dirty soul, don't let it sink. I stand naked as me. You sit with your hands on fit the mitt, your arm too long for the outfit, and you come with no permission to certify that you're legit. Face the perils of the pits and the fists of pessimists who suggest that you should quit. Get a job and shovel shit, buy some dope and try to pitch. You got the fever for the flavor, but the flavor leaves an itch. And until you scratch the bitch, as a slave you be his pick. Now take a step into this ditch that you dug. Can you dig? We're adults, no longer kids. For mistake, just consequence and hesitance. Go cleanse the lens that's been sold by foes and friends, lovers, teachers, preachers, kin. Like piston in the wind if you don't start over again and change your thinking. This lesson is about your perception. Your mind is the ultimate weapon. False reality's the ultimate deception. 1, 2, mic check it, we break it in a given second. I live outside the box where my system knocks something abstract. Let my mind think before my eye blinks. Watch my dirty soul, don't let it sink. I stand naked as me. I live outside the box where my system knocks something abstract. Let my mind think before my eye blinks. Watch my dirty soul, don't let it sink. I stand naked as me. Verse 3, in the midst of this reality, refuse to be a casualty. So casually my mind patrols a galaxy where atoms be colliding with themselves and splitting constantly. Explosion and destruction is the birth of creativity. I'm crazy, see, maybe what you think of me. Well, I agree, it takes a little lunacy to see outside the fantasy. Imagine we remove the canopies, caps and coverings, exposing the true piano keys and play these melodies. The people would be pissing, levy penalties on enemies, and government officials will be running for the hills and flee the tyranny that you inflict with flip-car reciprocity. You follow me, hands up in the air and raise them hurriedly, ferociously. Emotions be the captain soul, so let them sing a herd, no blur. Vision 2020 peep, planet surfing, megahertz and frequencies. You feeling me, 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 you feeling me.
Peace to the world. It's Friday night, January 24th, 2025. Hope all is well out there in the internet world. So we're going to give a couple more minutes here and see if we get a couple more people in the house. Peace, Sage. Peace, Poetic Heart. And we'll skip it just a couple more minutes. I might run something else just until we see if we can get us at least 10 or 12 people in here, then we'll get going. So get your beverage, get whatever else you need for your midnight ride into the world of the esoteric and critical thinking and stretching our minds and all that good stuff. And we get rolling here in just a moment. So share the link, hit the like button, and all that other glorious stuff for the matrix that we live in. All right. We're going to get going here in just a second.
Mood ring. When Father Time still was young, a child of Uranus, he cut his pop phallus off and dripped the sky was raining. In time known as Kronos, who was also known as Saturn, tried to kill his seed, what we have's a vicious pattern. But Rhea hit Zeus, put a rock in Saturn's belly, and prosperity was nurtured by the wet nurse's Betty. Hell the vendetta, hell must be better than to know your father wants to wear your hide like a sweater. Grandpop's Uranus rebellious fight against time, and when conjunct Mars, he don't walk a straight line. Now Saturn and Jupiter together in Aquarius. Low magicians are active, their intentions are nefarious. It goes deeper than your horoscope. Saturn usurped Zeus, now call himself the Pope. The Inquisition never stopped, the devil still in scope. Forked tongue tell lies, foul breath can't be cured with scope. Forked tongue tell lies, foul breath can't be cured with scope. No. The sky's the limit, but 2020 left folk timid. Mask cover eyes to stop vision from being vivid. History will show it was the year that time froze. Uranus called for poetry, but Saturn still wrote in prose. Confinement calls consignment, everything's for sale. From the rooter to the tutor, nobody come and post bail. But just us shall prevail. Jupiter's expanding Aquarius, air swells. Aspect in Venusian, the lights, my God, these tales are better than your best fiction story. I feel compelled to give the people game and ring the golden bell. The anointed look for shelter, but there's no room at the hotel. I hope these street balls illuminate like the sun and moon, we're traversing the North Gate. I wish you all wholeness, nothing less should you take. We've been limited, now it's freedom that we chase. We've been limited, now it's freedom that we chase. We've been limited, now it's freedom that we taste. The word.
All right, so we're going to get jamming with who we got. So peace again. So tonight's conversation is not what I had planned on talking. I had a whole discussion laid out where I was going to break down the speech, the coronation speech that of crowning the POTUS for a second term. And I got all this stuff. I mean, it's all these different little nuances. And I decided to just do something that it was not planned. And we can say that the divine dropped this down and said, okay, this is what you're going to talk about instead. And it's complex, it's layered. You know, the situation, life itself is complex and layered, ain't it? You know, life is about nuance. Nothing is just black and white. Nothing's up and down. It's a spectrum. It really is a spectrum. And that's what makes this whole existence such a roller coaster ride. But before I get into the setup, I want to first but expound on that word nuance and the necessity of context. I got irritated the other day. I was doing a live and I was explaining about humans relating to each other and the necessity to figure out how there's a thread on human relation and socialization with in our society, and how that, I think, is by design to keep people separated, because as you put more stress on society, if you have everybody thinking me, then it's easier to levy whatever you have planned, because there's less recourse to respond. It's a lot harder to respond if you're one ant. But if you're an ant colony, and everybody's doing their job, it's a almost an unstoppable force. And somebody made some comment about, and people just say things, they don't mean no harm a lot of times. And they said, but I won't even repeat the comment. It just irritated me, because I had just tried to give the context of what I was saying. And then to say that is just like, either you disregard it, or you just got on the live and you just like, I'm just going to say anything. I'm just, first thing come to my mind. And the reason I'm bringing this up is not to belittle anybody, but I want us to understand that the medium is the message, and that the medium is the massage. These are two titles that were introduced by a social critic by the name of Marshall McLuhan in the 1960s. And he played on the word message, and he would have one title would be the medium is the message. And then he would play on it and have medium is the massage, because the medium through which you get whatever you're consuming is going to actually be the vehicle of, it's actually the transmuter of the message. So it becomes the actual message, the medium. And then that same concept of a medium is also going to be the massage. And massage is moving stuff back and forth. When you get a massage, it's like they're kneading bread. And actually, one of those strokes they do, it's effleurage, and another one, the two main types of movements, petrifage, as I can't remember. But one of those words means to knead, like kneading bread, like if you bake biscuits, how you have to knead the dough. And so what he's saying is the medium through which you are receiving information is actually massaging something into you. And that something is based on the intentions of whoever is directing or running that medium. This is important to understand, because we have to take into account how different platforms have come about, and how we have the ability now to scroll infinitely, and how you ever going to use a bathroom and you're on your phone and you scrolling infinitely and you lose track of time, and you know how you get the dead legs, and you get up and all the blood got to come back into your legs, and you trying to stand up and you kind of wobbling, legs numb because you've been sitting too long. It's because you're on an infinite wheel, and it just keeps going. And what's happening is it's triggering the dopamine center in us. And I'm telling you, us, because I can get into the infinite scroll. And what you're doing is you're looking for a particular post that's going to get your attention and is going to excite you. So, like right now, I am broadcasting live on YouTube. If you are seeing this on your phone, once you actually tap it and you get into the live queue, you can infinitely just keep scrolling, and it'll be somebody in Bangladesh, with a whatever, and dancing and eating or whatever, or somebody in the Philippines shooting pool, or somebody pulling tarot cards. And I'm telling you, girl, he's cheating on you. you know just infinite scrolls. Somebody got Home Shoppers Network. They on here, these are the purple slacks, and the purple slacks have a little more give in them. I mean, it's just we have an infinite array of channels to scroll through. So the medium is whatever that platform for. So from this, for the sake of the conversation now, let's say YouTube. So this medium actually becomes the message. And the message is that everything is fleeting. Everything is moving so fast, and everything is momentary. Like, hey, oh, wow, look at this, and so the medium starts to program us to think that way, to think in sound bites, to think in segments, so that you have these great teachers who have come before us, where you had who would do these 2, 4, 6, 8, sometimes 10-hour lectures. And some people were fortunate enough to actually be live at the lectures and to attend them. Then there was a second group of us who were able to get the DVDs, where you had one group got the VHSs, and then you had the third wave got the DVDs, and these DVDs would be distributed around the country. You get these and you would sit and watch them for 6-7 hours. And then they would start putting them up on YouTube. And YouTube used to be, they would break, it used to be on YouTube, you could only load stuff for 15 minutes. That was max. Then they made a change to where, I don't know, it was maybe around 2012 or something, where you could post something as long as it didn't matter. So then we could just sit and watch a Bobby Hemmett lecture for 8 hours. Your whole day. Like, I had gone back to school. I would, you walk into class, driving, working on schoolwork, going to train a client, and Bobby Hemmett in your ear, and so now, though, we have something called shorts. Okay. And the short is you get a 4 or 5 minute segment of an 8-hour lecture. And a person may build their idea of a concept off of 5-minute segments of something. And this is now I'm woke, or now I'm lit, I'm a divine this, and I'm that, I'm a goddess, I'm a god. And you heard one little segment. You didn't get the part where he's taking the books, throwing them down. You need to get such and such. Then he throw it on the floor, and then get this book. And he throw it down, and you're missing the part where you have that big yellow manila notepad for me, or somebody else may have a notebook, or whatever, and you writing down these titles. And then you go to Amazon and you put them in your cart or you put them on your wish list to where after years go by, you got hundreds of books in this wish list, and you just needle away trying to, as you get a couple of dollars, you get a couple of books here. You miss all of that. You miss the actual university aspect of this learning process because the medium through which you are receiving it has changed. And the medium becomes the message. And the message is everything is set it and forget it. Quick, in a hurry, microwave. I ain't got time to sit and go over this. I'm just going to go, what? How do I feel? What's my intuition say? Or, no, this is the answer. You know, and some of this is how we're being conditioned to approach life and to not actually sit and let things to mull over things, to not have round tables, to not have incubators, or places where you go and you deal with concepts and you flesh it out as long as it needs to take until you feel like the effort has sufficed. It's that has no place in a world of 2-minute clips. And what it does is it affects our ability to understand context and to understand nuance, that things often have multiple sides to them. And it's not as simple as I'm going to take this side or I'm going to take that side. You have to see the complexity because life itself is complex. But if you're conditioned to become simple-minded, then you're always looking for the simplest answer and the quickest. So I wanted to open up with that because I think it's important, no matter what the conversation is going to be about, because anything I'm talking about, you will need to have the ability to think contextually and have nuance and malleability to how you are thinking. You got to have that. And if there ever was a time in this world now, you have to be malleable. People are online speaking curses on themselves. Well, now y'all, it's gonna be hell now. It's gonna be some suffering. Not understanding the power of and it says, in the Bible, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. I think that's how it goes. So you're saying all these words about what's going to happen to you, what's going to happen to us. It's a difference between being mindful of the potential astrological weather and what type of climate, so that we can be in a state of preparation and moving in the most empowered manner, versus just sitting around and casting spells like, oh boy, like, man, and part of that comes from not being able to be nuanced, not being able to see all sides of things, and not being able to pan out. Sometimes we're panned in too close. You got to be able to pan out and see the greater picture. But if you think always in very simplistic terms, you're always so close to the matter that you're so engulfed in it that you can't objectify yourself enough to see maybe that there's a whole bunch of other sides to this thing. And that's kind of what this book, The Metaphysics of Virtual Reality, is preparing the reader for. This book, copyright date 1993. Now 1993 is important because this is when Neptune and Uranus started a new synodic cycle. The previous cycle had begun in 1821, somewhere around there. Their cycles run about 172 years. So here we have these two who are dealing with out of this world intelligence and presence. Neptune as in more of a spiritual type of thing. It's more etheric, and we're talking about unseen forces merging into another realm, into this realm, or energies from another realm merging with this realm. And then you have Uranus, which is out of this world, but it's more mechanical. It is more of the cold, rational. Although we look at Uranus as irrational, it's rational in that it is not human. Okay, Uranus is not human. It's a cold, detached type of energy. It's disruptive. So in 1821, you had this rumbling that starts in the West, where the Anthroposophic Society, it's a great speaker named Brian Lynch. He passed away, but this guy was, and I only saw like one of his lectures, but I wish he would have had more stuff recorded. But he calls that period like the kindergarten of Western era esotericism, because it's like this the fledgling time, and this is when all these movements are kind of really picking up steam in Northeast US or Northeast part of America. And and so there would be this massive growth in Western esotericism from over the next, let's say, 70-year period, starting around the time that Neptune and Uranus conjoin. So, this is a time where we have Uranus, you're talking about advancements too, technological advancements. And so this is 1821. You got to think this is the industrial era, and age is really picking up steam. Okay. So you got to think by 1993, what doors opening up. So that next year you would have Bezos would come out with Amazon. So you got to think this window right here is what's kicking off the internet. That Uranus-Neptune conjunction is really kicking off the internet. And so let's read, and I'm saying all that to say this is the climate that this book was written in. So this dude's an insider. He's no prophet. He can say he knows this stuff because he's arguably he's on the inside. Either he's part of the planet or he's been privy to the agenda. This one particular passage, he says, we have to realize that each advance in typifying and standardizing things also implies a trade-off. When we first reach forward and grasp things, we only see the benefits of our standardization, only the positive side of greater clarity and utility. It is difficult to accept the paradox that no matter how alluring, every gain in fixed intelligibility brings with it a corresponding loss of vivacity. Because we are finite, every gain we make also implies a loss possibility. The loss is especially devastating to those living in the technological world, for here they enjoy everything conveniently at their disposal. Everything, that is, except the playful process of discovery itself. So what he's saying is that think about what is the, what's being discussed now with the new regime, which is just a particular cartel that is taking over a cartel that has been in place for the past few decades. Their thing is tech, which is why they don't have a lot of focus on war. Previous cartel was a war machine. We go around, we extort. This one is has a different game plan. It is, we're pushing, you have to be careful what you say on this platform, but some of the things that they seem to be against, they're actually for. Like that thing, that word that means to go across, like when you transport, transfer, that prefix, that whole thing that really has been popping off. Well, they make comments like, it's only gonna be two, it's gonna be man and woman. But here's what's so slick. What not everybody, what a lot of people don't catch is that the people who from the sexual revolution side who are saying that we're against this maniac because he's such and such. Here's the real kicker though. That whole movement lines up with the technocracy, because what does tech do is it is separating you piece by piece from being an actual human. You create the tech to get closer and closer to the human until eventually it's inside the human. And so even those people who on the other side arguing, what they're arguing for is the same agenda as the tech, because it is going against the natural process of how humans reproduce. And I ain't saying this about no judgment. I don't care. You do what you want. You can love a light pole outside. I don't care, as long as you don't force it on me. But the absolute value of things is what I'm talking about. The absolute value is, it is something that is not natural. And tech, this whole thing about tech, absolutely ain't natural. So all it does is it's the same agenda. It is to piece by piece to sever that connection between soul and the human vessel that houses that soul. Next passage here. This is about the interface. So an interface is something that allows two parties or components to have the ability to communicate or relate. Okay. So you all are seeing me and hearing me through some type of interface. Some of you, it's going to be your phone, some is a laptop or whatever. You know, we are, and so that screen that you're looking at is the interface. So, so tech is interfacing with the soul, with the divine. Okay. So read some of this. Our link to the solar system, the stars, and other galaxies come through the interface. All areas of the universe come into sharper focus as scientists zoom in on sources of astronomical data. In the late summer of 1989, scientists at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, set before their video screens viewing Triton, a moon of Neptune, as the Voyager 2 space probe sent radio signals back to Earth. Through representations and simulations, we contact the world we know and even the limits of what we know. The interface is taking to the freeway too, where the automobile is the grandfather of applied technology. In the near future, motorists will have onboard computer displays of maps, locations, and detailed directions to any destination. Well, we got that. This book is written in 93. Traffic information will appear on the car windshield, projected by virtual images above the driver's line of sight. The auto interface will provide navigational readouts, warnings about blind spots, and television reception. Pilots have long used the heads-up displays on jet aircraft, sometimes even landed in foggy weather by viewing a televised simulation of the runway. Driving any vehicle may soon mean using the video interface to enhance vision. This enhancement the developers call reality augmentation, for it superimposes information on a direct reality percept. The combination augmented reality is a step toward breaking through the interface and inhabiting an electronic realm where reality and symbolized reality constitute a third entity, virtual reality. We're all very familiar with that virtual reality, and we're now familiar with augmented reality. Words that are very, very familiar to us. What then is an interface? An interface occurs where two or more information sources come face to face. A human user connects with the system and the computer becomes interactive. Tools, by contrast, establish no such connection. Skipping down, interface means more than video hardware, more than a screen we look at. Interface refers also to software or to the way we actively alter the computer's operations and consequently alter the world controlled by the computer. Interface denotes a contact point where software links the human user to computer processors. One more time. Interface denotes a contact point where software links the human user with computer processors. contact point. Listen to the language. Contact point, where software, i.e. code as in agenda as in intent as in entity. Software links the human user with computer processors. So we can see this is written in 93 and look at our world now. And if you've got these components in place and the same directive that would be behind them, if we argue that they are behind the medium and the media, plural, that we consume, you know, and that they are arguably they are setting the stage to prepare us to be more accepting to anything, because it is memory loss comes with the infinite scroll. Inability to think critically comes with the infinite scroll, or the buffet of information, just goo gobs of this and that and theories and just information, to where, you know, if you always eating, food doesn't taste as good, you know, when you're just gluttonous and you just stuffing, then the actual enjoyment of a delicious meal it's becomes null and void, because you're overwhelming the system with just a minutia of data. And what that does is it then it numbs you. You've seen everything, you know, oh, I've seen that. And so therefore, when a next wave of something comes in, you ain't really tripping, because, you know, you're just like, I've seen situations like this, or and it starts turning off your consciousness. Attention span gets shorter. It becomes harder to focus on something, you know, and then it makes you wonder why there's so much talk about ADHD and this and that, you know, which leads to the other offering, which is something familiar. Many of you are familiar with, The Biology of Belief, Bruce Lipton. And he says that genes, as destiny theorists, have obviously ignored 100-year-old science about enucleated cells, but they cannot ignore new research that undermines their belief in genetic determinism. While the Human Genome Project was making headlines, now, mind you, the Human Genome Project started in the 90s. Okay, this was one of the crowning moments of the Clinton administration. As he was leaving office, he made this big announcement about this breakthrough in the Human Genome Project. So once again, this is coming off of the Uranus-Neptune conjunction. So he says, while the Human Genome Project was making headlines, a group of scientists were inaugurating a new revolutionary field in biology called epigenetics. The science of epigenetics, which literally means control above genetics, profoundly changes our understanding of how life is controlled. Boom, boom, boom. In the last decade, epigenetic research has established that DNA blueprints passed down through genes are not set in concrete at birth. Genes are not destiny. Environmental influences. So this is where we bringing it back to our conversation. Environmental influences, including nutrition, stress, and emotions, can modify these genes without changing their basic blueprint. And those modifications, epigeneticists have discovered, can be passed on to future generations as surely as DNA blueprints are passed on via the double helix. So my argument is that if this can happen with our genes, that an environment can change something as intricate as gene code or genetic expression, then what can happen as above, so below, as within, so without, as our environment changes that we live in? If you consider each of us as a cell and we're all part of a body, the human body, then if you alter the environment, then how does it alter how each cell or person expresses? So by him looking at it on a more microcosmic of, individual health and things of that nature, when we look at it from a metaphorical standpoint of more so, the environment we live in, and the concept of epigenetics is going to be even more important as we move throughout the rest of this year and into 2026, because Neptune will make its initial ingress into Aries, and Neptune fuses, it merges. It is it's a planet of beliefs, mystery, fantasy. So by it having that great fusion process, and it's going into the sign of I am, identity, Aries, then epigenetics is going to be a real big thing, and a lot more people, their eyes will open up to the validity of it. Because if there ever was a time where the world would become a laboratory to test a theory, then this would be it. Because the influence that each of us has on the environment will exponentially increase. And if there ever was a time to not pee in the pool, this would be it. Because everybody gonna be swimming through this pee, because we're all gonna be, the world we live in will become more permeable. And so the concept of epigenetics will be more relevant than ever before. So there's that, which leads me to the main topic, owning my own shadow. Because as Neptune moves into Aries, and the nature of our own being will have more effect on our environment. And if each person is more focused on owning their own shadow, then the environment will be more vibrant. There will be the available O2 will increase, because people will be excelling and they will be properly processing their own cellular debris, because they will be inhaling good air and pushing out, taking in more positive experiences and allowing themselves to release that which does not serve them. And as they do that, if you have a more collective action towards that, it is the equivalent of building a rainforest. Humanity has the opportunity with Neptune and Aries to become new extensions of the rainforest. Conversely, humans will also have the choice of whether they want to be the equivalent of burning down the rainforest or mass corporate endeavors to chop down trees in the rainforest, which then prevents the earth from breathing. So our inability to begin to look at and assess our own shadow can do more harm than anything else. Any new governmental regime, any new policies, all these things are secondary, because if people are more focused on their own stuff and getting their house in order, then water seeks its own level. There will be more people to find who you will be able to yoke with, be equally yoked, because they'll be seeking themselves. They'll be working towards knowing themselves and owning their own shadow. And I keep screaming this whole thing about it's we're putting the cart before the horse, because let me tell you one time, my father and his wisdom. Let me tell you two things about my old man. Very wise. One, when he got closer to death, he started telling me a lot that he didn't know. I don't know, son. I don't know shit. I don't know. That's very wise to be able to just say, I don't know. And two, my brother, when God rest his soul, when my brother opened his home up to me, that's how I got down here to Texas. And I left North Carolina. I wasn't doing anything basically productive, and it was time to go. And so I got to a point, got on my feet and ended up leaving this house and got married like 5 years after I moved here, my first wife. And he had this grand idea that we could just move in with him and we could stack up money and we all could be in the same house and and everybody could stack their money up and do it temporarily. I told my old man, I was gung ho. I was thinking about it. My old man said, son, it looks good on paper. It looks good on paper. And what he was saying was, it sounds good, but that ain't going to work. But he wasn't going to be the one just to tell me, nah, that ain't, don't do that. He just said, it sounds good on paper. And he knew I would pick up, because he said, then when he knew I had picked up on it, he said, yeah, because, you're going to have diapers, you're going to have baby bottles, and it's going to start to become a problem. It's going to be complaints. And I said, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. So I'm using that analogy for how we approach and think about this new Wakanda, or this new Black Wall Street that we fantasize about. And if we could just come together, it's always, if we can come together, we can come together. But we have to be we don't have time to be in a fantasy, you know. And the North Node, yes, it's in Pisces, but where the nodal focus is, or North Node is asking us to look at the function of that in our lives. The North Node was in Aries, South Node was in Libra. So we were having to look at that axis and see, have we been relying too much on relationship? Have we been too receptive? And what's the nature of our ego expression? North Node and Aries. What's the nature of how we assert ourselves? So North Node and Pisces, we're looking at what's the nature of my belief system? You know, am I stuck in a world of fantasy? Am I out of touch with reality? You know, or conversely, am I too much into the how things are going to get done to where I don't allow any room for dreaming? It's an axis. And where the North Node is saying this is the direction we're turning our car. But I still got to have the other wheel to complete the turn. The turn. I got to have Virgo on the axis for me to turn towards Pisces. So I having to bring Virgo dynamics into the realm of Pisces. So I know I'm all over the place, but so we romanticize this. And that's not to say that we can't have small groups where these things work. I think that's the only way things are going to work. This collective thing, forget about it. You got too many agendas. People have secret agendas. You know, well, it's got to be this way. This is my system. I'm going to, you know, that's why it has to be small little groups quietly, you know, getting things done. But even for a small group to be functional, guess what you got to have? People who are actively working towards owning their own shadow. And so this does not just sit at the realm of philosophical banter. I want to talk about myself this evening. Okay. And people who know me know I'm very private, you know. But Spirit told me this was what to talk about. So tonight was a special night because my oldest daughter is a senior in high school. So she had her senior night for her basketball team. And so she had these shirts that she had made, and she wanted, you know, me to wear one, and her brother and sister. This is, you know, these are my two youngest children with my wife, but she wanted them there. And so I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, oh God, I know it's probably gonna be all of her, the other side of the family, and oh boy, you know, and I already know what it's gonna be. I show up and it's all the eye rolling, and it's the you know, it's like if looks could kill, I would have been dead 1,000 times, you know. But these and this is sacrifice you got to make for your children, you know. And this for me is part of owning my own shadow. Your shadow in your chart can show up. Once again, this is nuance. Your shadow is not just no one thing. It's complex. Your south node in your chart can give you some type of perspective on your shadow. Lilith in your chart can give you just about everything in your chart can give you something when you really think about it. But I'm gonna leave them into these. I'm gonna really squeeze this in or condense this. Your south node, debilitated planets give you a chance to entertain your shadow. Chiron, of course. And it's a whole bunch of other factors, Mars, because that's your ego. Sun, that's the ego becoming a sustained identity. But let's look at it from this perspective. Here's how shadow shows up. I am an Aquarius sun. Okay. And I have my moon in Cancer. My sun and my moon, technically by astrological standards, are not actually in aspect to each other by degree, but by sign, they are in a quincunx, or what some others would call an inconjunct, meaning they don't see each other. Now, just think about this. The moon deals with, it's a gateway into your subconscious mind through your emotional expression. It is representing your roots, family, the bloodline. It ties back to your mother a lot, the moon. And my moon's in Cancer, which is the sign it rules. But I always tell people, it ain't always a great thing to have the ambassador of a sign in its domicile, especially when it comes to Cancer, because that Cancer moon, you tend to feel spurred to action through emotion, and you are very sensitive to things, but it triggers the sun in Aquarius to become more detached, because it does not really see the emotional development happening beneath the surface. My sun and moon don't see each other. They know they're there, but that sun expression does not have a direct connection like it would with an opposition, because we are in tandem. We always are there seeing each other, but the quincunx, they don't always see each other. So that sun may express a certain way and we not be fully understanding why we are expressing the way we are. That's what I'm trying to say. And that sun in Aquarius can be very detached and can be cold and can seem just like a weirdo. Like, why don't you just want to fit in? Not knowing that I would love to fit in, because the moon in Cancer wants to have a home. Because Cancer is the womb. Cancer's the warm waters, the warm amniotic fluid that the baby don't want to leave out of. Nothing would please me more than to sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. The Cheers. You and you where you can be. See, troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. That's the moon in Cancer wants the Cheers reality, you know? But not always feeling like that, not even with my own family. Not always feeling like you fit in even with them, you know? And I used to look at certain families like the McLeans and the Swintons, the Tobes, the Morgans. You know, it used to be you can't fight one of them because you don't know, there might be three. The Sheltons, that was another family, you know, and they all they had bags under their eyes when we were 6 and 7, just rough, you know, like they chew rocks, sharp teeth. Sheltons had sharp teeth like sharks. But you know, I would look at them like, damn, boy, I wish I had a family like that. Like, I wish I felt like somebody had my back, you know? And I always wanted to feel like I had a place where I belong, but I didn't feel like I could be myself. I couldn't, because I felt it all the time of being around people and like, it was this stigmatism in our community, unfortunately, especially when I was growing up around intelligence. Like, that is just like, what's wrong with you? You know, you got all that book sense, ain't got no common sense. That still stays with me, you know. Bothered me. Um, um, and I'm triggered by people coming around me who try to downplay intelligence. And a lot of times people who do that is because they may not have felt like they were intelligent growing up. And see, this is how we do. We end up being triggered by our own shadows, you know. And I may be triggered by my shadow, by all that stuff that I'm describing that gets packed away and pushed down, to where Aquarius, you think Leo got a ego? Shit. Aquarius got a motherfucking ego on you, you know. And especially if it's triggered by the wound of not feeling like you had a place you could fit in, to where you go to the extreme where, well, fuck all you motherfuckers, you know, which leads me to the other aspect of my shadow, which is Venus and Aries. And not just Aries, but 0 Aries. So my Venus is a super Aries, you know, because once you get to the initial ingress, you're in the pure energy of that sign. So Venus in 0 Aries is just pure, unfiltered Aryan energy. So, and it just so happens that my south node in my chart is in Aries as well. So this is a dead clue right here that I came here innately selfish when it comes to relationship. And this is where we get into really like the shadow, you know. And so I'm sitting there, I got up this morning with this on my mind, like, I have really been a piece of shit at certain times in my life. I have hurt people and just step over them and keep going. you know, and I'll justify it because I'll hold something, you know, it can be something that was done and I'll hold it. And then when that sudden detachment comes in, I'll justify like, you know, fuck it, you deserved it anyway, you know, just like really some, you know, some crazy shit, you know. I'm talking historically about me. I'm not talking about, the reason I'm talking about this now is because I feel like I'm a lot more evolved. Okay. But as I go back and look over my life, how I've broken up with women, how one woman told me, you just took my heart and just trampled all over it. You know, I remember we were I was at this club and I run into her and she threw liquor in my face and shit, crazy shit, you know. And I don't like making those scenes in public. And she's a Capricorn and she's more reserved than I am, but I didn't realize how abrupt and fucked up it was, how I, you know, I'll just be done. You know, the way I left my ex-wife was just fucked up. She came home one day and I was gone. And that's that crazy detachment. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. And you know, you have to pay for that shit. You know, I know there's different ways of looking at karma. But karma is just a push-pull, cause and effect thing of the universe. And the way I've done things, you know, so I'm sitting there at the game, everybody rolling eyes, and I had to think, well, I could see them being upset with me, you know, but I also, on the other token, is like, fuck them, you know, because I shouldn't have gone through with the marriage, but it was the moon. Check this shit out. Check this shit out when I'm showing you how the astrology play out. Real life shit. Because my moon don't see my sun. And so we're at the wedding and her mother pisses me off because I didn't even care about all this pageantry. I didn't care about all this shit. We had already gone to the Justice of Peace, but these people are country and they wanted to make this big scene that, you know, it was all about image, you know. And so they wanted to flaunt and so everything got to be just right. And meeting with this wedding plan, I'm going along with all of this bullshit, and I don't want to do it. I'm going along with it, but this is my moon. I'm 30 years old. I'm having my Saturn return. So it's like, you know, women aren't the only ones who have a biological clock. Men got a biological clock. And Saturn is the Lord of time. So you get around 29, 30, you're like, man, I got to slow down. You know, I don't want to catch no shit. You know, I need to just, man, da 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 da. And mind you, the woman before I met her was the one who told me you just walked all over my heart and da 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 da. And so I'm with her. I'm not really attracted to her, but I feel like for some reason, I feel like I need to not be so superficial on how I deal with women. Like, okay, attraction ain't all that important. Da, da, da. I go along with this. We down here at this wedding and her mama starts barking at me because I'm outside of the dressing room. Jamal, what you doing out here? You need to go back in that dress. And somebody had told me that she was looking for me, and that's why I was out there. I said, I'm only out here because somebody told me you were looking for me. I was hot as fish grease. And I'm thinking, I don't even want to fucking do this shit. But my moon, I had my mama drive down here. My brother's mama done come, which was my father's first wife. I said, I done had them drive all the way down here from North Carolina, from Texas, her parents, and spend all this money. I can't do this. You know what? My brother, God rest his soul, you know that motherfucker told me, he said, Jamal, we can leave. Scorpio. And I thought that was a code. I said, man, I can't do that. And he was so serious. He said, Jamal, we can leave. Nah, I can't do that, man. I can't do that. That's that moon. I'm thinking how people gonna feel. Because that moon in Cancer there's a deep empathy that exists there, because you can't help but feel. Like I can feel how they feel every time I'm around. You know, they feel betrayed. But on the flip side, I'm like, this is my goddamn life. So if I would choose to give up my freedom, Aquarius, I was thinking, I can't see myself doing this for 30 years, 20 years. I can't do this. I'm going to have me 3 or 4 women. And then I don't like lying. I don't like having to make up. And so I don't like I don't like having to hide my phone. That's why I don't like fucking around. You know, if I'm gonna fuck around, it ain't gonna be no fucking around. It's just gonna be everybody gonna know this is how it goes. I don't like doing that lying shit. That's like, I can't. And her only thing was always investigating. You know, so I was like, nah, I can't. I finally got to a point, I can't do this shit. But at that moment, I was like, I can't do this, as in I can't break all these people's hopes and dreams. And so what I'm showing is the dilemma between my moon, which at the moment was wanting to be accepted in something, be a part of a family. And then the sun, though, that said, I, as an Aquarian, I'd rather die than not have freedom. And I mean that, because your sun sign is not just your ego, it is your vitality. Because if we don't have a sun in this solar system, we don't have no life. Can't no food grow here without sunlight. We don't have warmth without sunlight. So your sun sign in your chart is your vitality. If you're Aquarius sun, you've got to have some degree of freedom and some degree of a detachment. If you a Leo, you got to have some degree of, you got to be able to create something. You got to go out on the center stage in some form or fashion. You got to have some type of play and joy, because that's your vitality. So you go through, walk through the whole zodiac, you know. So, but not, you got to think, at this time in my life, I ain't studying no astrology. I ain't thinking about, you know, how to balancing out these energies within me. I'm not even aware that they exist. I just know I get a feeling and I do it. And I see the ramifications of it. It's like leaving destruction around you, you know. And then the Venus in Aries, that natural disposition to where this relationship must serve me. Yeah. Selfish, relationship must serve me. And I think about some of the shit I used to train women, and I would be sleeping with them and they still had to pay me for training and be mad. Just fucked up shit, just I used to, and I'm not saying this shit to no no bragging. I'm telling you, I woke up this morning just thinking about, and what it is this Pluto and Aquarius, like, and I'm trying to set an example. I think people, you know how onion peeling this is for me to be talking about myself and telling them, I play with my cards close to my chest, but I kind of caring less as I get older. Like, this is Pluto and Aquarius, like shit coming out. Like, and I think you just gotta set examples of showing people that you are real yourself. You know what I'm saying? And showing how this shit actually works out in your own life, and how astrology has enriched me to go back and look over myself and see my shadow. I have been fucked up. I went to school at Western Carolina University, which was very close to Cherokee, what they call that? What a reservation. And I guess we went to some bar or whatever, and some kind of way I met this girl who was a Cherokee. And my scheming ass, I found out that they get something called a per capita check. You understand? And that's like, and that shit used to be delicious, that check they get. So I started messing with her, and they had a casino out there, and I used to love to gamble, fuck up some money. And I would go, and I knew when that girl was getting her check, and she knew it wasn't right. Her hand would be trembling, and I'd be talking her out of that money, and it just fucked up. I think about it, at that time, you're thinking, you gotta think, we're listening to UGK, and you want to be a pimp, and you just like a player and all this shit, and it was a badge of honor to be able to. I was a greedy motherfucker. I go to McDonald's and try to flirt with the girl at the window to get an extra quarter pound of cheese, just so just get a milkshake. Be high as a motherfucker. Like, I want me another quarter pound. I'm gonna go up here and flirt with this girl, see if I can get one. But that's minor. But the shit I was doing was, you have to atone for that shit. And I got 3 girls. You hear me? So that's another aspect of the shadow. This ego expression through how I relate to people. And the South Node in Aries, this propensity to completely cut people off and be willing to me against the world on my Tupac shit. It's just me against the world. But my North Node is teaching me how to share my toys. And so all the stuff that transpired with me losing my career and the prominence and the success I had built up. Those things were set up to help me begin to own my shadow. And when you fall from grace, when you fall from grace, the first thing you do is you are angry and you want to blame people. And you know, that takes a while. That's why I tell people, you know, when you have problems, the breakthrough is when you get to a point and you say, I'm the problem, because that is the only place that you get to where you can actually have power. Because as long as somebody else is the problem, they have power over you. But when you get to the point you say, I'm the problem, because I'm the problem in how I'm interfacing with what life is dealing me right now. And sometimes that takes years to get to that point. It took me years, you know, and I still get angry about shit, you know, but the growth that has occurred over the last 12 years. And here's what's significant about this 12 is that divine willing, or as the old folks would say, what they used to say, if the Lord say so and the creek don't rise, I'll see 48 here in about a week. Yeah. You know, and whenever you arrive at a solar return that's a multiple of 12, you are at the beginning of the zodiac again. 12th birthday, 24th, 36, 48, so forth. And you know, these are increments of 12, so they have a Jupiterian aspect to them, because that's Jupiter's cycle, 12 years. And so Jupiter is higher learning. So every time you get to this multiple of 12, you have a chance to see what you have learned, what new perspective are you birthing, you know? What degrees and higher wisdom have you attained? And I think this 12-year period was one that really allowed me to understand sacrifice, to get a deeper understanding of humility, to allow me to be more reflective. You know, to allow me to learn how to love. And, you know, just by nature, in general, the man is more so associated with Mars and the woman is more so with Venus. Mars learns how to love through Venus. That's why when he gets past Libra and he's in his second domicile of Scorpio, he's ready to die for what he loves, because Venus has taught him how to love in Libra. So my Venus is in Aries, but my North Node is in Libra. And I came here to learn how to love and how to understand the reciprocity of love. And through that would help to own my shadow. We see people on the internet and we don't know who they really are. Most people got nicknames. Most people got these personas we put out, and we don't know. And even those of us who try to be more sincere, You know, the crazy thing is the more light, the bigger the shadow. I can show you anything on this camera. I can present myself in any type of way. My daddy used to tell me about this story about this couple named Ralph and I think it was Evelyn, might have been the name. And they would be they had a grocery store called OK Cash. OK Cash, and they had Charlie's Mark, who was Natalia. Thank you. Thank you for the cash app. Thank you. Thank you. And they would either be in OK Cash or Charlie's Market. And Evelyn being there like, Ralph, can I get an apple? Like, yeah, baby. Get what you want, baby. And they would put on this front out there in public, and they'd get drunk that night, and they'd be fighting coming down the steps, you know. And that always makes me think of, you know, putting on the front, you know. And so I can be Ralph and Evelyn on here, like, yeah, baby, and just all, you know, present myself in a certain way. But I feel secure enough in myself that I can be honest, so that, you know, when you come to me for astrological counseling, that is I'm in the trenches, you know, or I've been in the trenches. I know what it is. I got a very contentious chart. I'm telling you some of it. Got very contentious, all types of squares and grand cross, you know, quincunxes, and, you know, debilitated planets. And so what it does is it makes you have to figure things out. And in one school of thought, it would suggest that you accepted a contract to come here to grow. You know, you came here to grow. You didn't come here to choose an easy chart. Because sometimes a very easy, lax chart creates a very lax, lazy, non-driven person. But owning the shadow, simply put, requires us to get to a place where we can say, I'm fucked up. To accept that, and to not have to try to lie and keep creating this facade that it's not me, it's everybody else, you know. And by seeing the shadow, and one thing I love about this book by Robert A. Johnson. If you don't know who Robert A. Johnson is, you need to know. You know, prolific writer, and he writes little old tiny books like this that you just can't read through. You gotta sit with him. He was under the tutelage of Carl Jung, one of his proteges, and he says in here that the shadow will show up, and you won't be able to figure out how to deal with it. He talks about how in our world we're so trained to see things in good or bad, black and white, and that when there's this issue comes up, we naturally want to be able to attack it and fix it. But he says, what about when you can't fix the situation? And he says, and all you can do is just endure it. And he says, in that place is where the divine shows up. In in that area where you can't fix it. This is some heavy shit. He says, whenever you have a clash of opposites in your being and neither will give way to the other, the bush will not be consumed and the fire will not stop. You can be certain that God is present. We dislike this experience intensely and avoid it at any cost. But if we can endure it, the conflict without resolution is a direct experience of God. The conflict without resolution is a direct experience of God. Now I'm going to tell you, he uses that word endure. And I love that word endure because that word means truth. Endurance etymologically means truth. And it's the same word that tree comes from, duro, because a tree is fixed, it's lasting, and it's firm. And the truth is fixed, lasting, and firm. So when you got an issue and you cannot make heads or tails of it, and you're trying to find resolution, but there ain't one, and all you can do is just sit in it, he's saying that's where God shows up. In the tension in between those two poles, the friction that comes is something divine. And I'm going to tell you, I'm sure many of you out there can attest to this, where you've had situations where you've thrown everything at, and this is an astrological phenomenon he's talking about, an opposition. When you have an opposition, you cannot choose one side or the other, because what's going to happen is you're going to completely skew it, and something is going to be left disregarded, rejected, and unintegrated. And so you just have to hold it. You have to hold it until the tension eases up, or until you figure out how to integrate both of them into you. And that's no set formula for that. Some things is just, you just got to endure. In the beginning here, he talks about how the shadow begins. How the shadow originates. Let me give me some agua. We are all born whole. Let us hope. We'll die whole. But somewhere early on our way, we eat one of the wonderful fruits of the tree of knowledge. Things separate into good and evil, and we begin the shadow making process. We divide our lives. In the cultural process, we sort out our God-given characteristics into those that are acceptable to our society and those that have to be put away. This is wonderful and necessary, and there would be no civilized behavior without this sorting out of good and evil. But the refused and unacceptable characteristics do not go away. They only collect in the dark corners of our personality. When they have been hidden long enough, they take on a life of their own, the shadow life. The shadow is that which has not entered adequately into consciousness. It is the despised quarter of our being. It often has an energy potential nearly as great as that of our ego. If it accumulates more energy than our ego, it erupts as an overpowering rage or some indiscretion that slips past us, or we have a depression or an accident that seems to have its own purpose. The shadow gone autonomous is a terrible monster in our psychic house. So for me, all that pressing down of not fitting in, this is how it came out. I started to try to become what I thought people wanted me to be, you know. So getting out there on the corner, I wasn't raised to do none of that. That was not, I didn't come from that environment, you know. But I found myself in that world taking those types of chances. And what it was is never accepting who I was and trying to create an image to fit somebody else's reality. And then that not ever being fully addressed in me, the hurt that still lingers from not being accepted. And then by it not being fully understood and processed, then it expresses in the extreme of being extremely detached, you know, or doing things to where I can hurt people and feel like it's okay, because they become an extension of those people who never really accept me anyway. You know, like you can make you could rationalize all types of things in your head, like, oh, you would have been like the one of them people if I would have known you at this period. And then you rationalize like a psychopath, like it's okay for me to do this to you. So sometimes, if the shadow is not seen, and then we don't realize that it's there, then it shows up and causes repetitive behavior, and we never know why. And we may not even never really fully realize that we're engaged in this type of process. You're not even aware. So once you become aware, then you can start policing yourself, like, whoa, wait a minute, you know. And it ain't no easy thing. Like, you guess what part of the owning your shadow thing is? Being very vulnerable. Being very vulnerable. And allowing yourself to be in a position where somebody might be like, oh, I was waiting on this chance, you know, but oh, let me try to attack, you know, because here's the thing. We're in a world where we have to wear a mask and a facade, because culturally, cultural identity has been stripped, and you just, like, you know, you got to be out here like, who's my enemy? How the young people say, where the ops? Where the ops at? You know, I'm looking at another black man. He might be the ops. We gotta size each other up first, and you know, and it's like, oh, okay, how you doing, brother? You know, I gotta wait and see how he, you know, because if I'm too friendly coming up, is, you know, you don't. It's just these crazy dynamics we got. You know, then I got another dynamic with someone from another culture. What type of bullshit they on? You know. So you have to keep this, or you feel as though you have to keep this facade. And everybody's like, I can't just be me. And this just further reinvigorates our own shadows, because because everybody's got one. And so if everybody is constantly in the flow of I've got to put on my best face because I don't know what type of shit you on. I don't know if I can't trust you, da 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 da. Then everybody, when do we really have time to really sit with the shadow? When are we really taught to really sit and be contemplative? Are we taught to have deep conversations? No. I go to my children's school. They're teaching them to be robots. You can't just say Jan has 25 apples and Bobby has 5 more apples. How many apples do they have in total? Simple. 21 plus 5, 26. That's what Bobby's got. Now we're going to add 26 and 21, and the answer is going to be 47. That's how many they got in total. Nah, they can't do that. They got to write what's the problem? They got to write justify it. How are you going to solve? Like what is all these diagrams? So they're teaching them to have to go through 1,000 steps to do something that only take boom, boom. When we were in school, it was just show me that you can get to the answer. So in other words, they're training them to spend more time on things that don't matter. Each generation is being fed more and more to colonize their time and their minds, whether it's the infinite scroll or it's 6,000 steps to do a math program. It's all these different things. So and then they use these little euphemisms on these jobs called work-life balance. What's that? So when does the time come to actually sit back and contemplate and think about yourself, reflect on your life, reflect on conversations you had? Maybe go back and apologize to somebody. Like, you know what? I said this and I said it this way. I apologize. Da, 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 da. Like everything is geared towards get to the next horizon, the next plateau. So when do we reflect? When do we have time to sit and really come to the realization that, oh, I got a shadow, you know? Oh, I may have control issues. But damn, why do I have control issues? Oh, it's because I felt like I had a loss in this area at this particular time. I'm still living in that time. So this is how we get to become acquainted with our shadow. Or we examine a certain pain signal that we keep getting. Damn, I keep finding myself in this situation. And it's like, okay, what's the common denominator here? It's me. Okay. What is this situation? How does it leave me feeling? And then based on that, it's like, okay, then you start going into the probing of how I keep getting in this situation, da 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 da. And then we start having a chance to actually go and approach and own our own shadow and reclaim our power. Take away the power of somebody else is doing something to me or this and that. It's like then it becomes all on me. Which gives me my power. You know, reflecting, contemplating is powerful because it helps you become firm, lasting, strong. You know, I feel I'm so thankful to just still be breathing and to be able to reflect. And to be at this point and be able to reflect back 12 years ago. It's been a rough road. It's been a rough road. It's been a rough road. But I'm thankful. And that's why I'm sharing this evening. Like I said, you know, this is a form of atonement, you know, and we have to accept who we've been. And we have to allow ourselves to grow. And part of owning your shadow too is give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. You know, I think this is why I'm able to work with so many people, such a wide age range, is because I will tell somebody in a session, you know, I'm fucked up. Or I've been fucked up. I've been, you know. So when you're sitting here tearing up because you feel like your chart is horrible and you feel like you got picked out to get picked on by the cosmos, I try to relate to them and say, y'all see my shit. It's really fucked up. Like, you know, and it's take it as a badge of honor. Now, this may sound like some old slave timey stuff, but there's a scripture in the Bible and says, whom the Lord loveth, he chastiseth. Whom the Lord loveth, he chastiseth. I think that might be in Exodus. Let me look this up. And I found this book in a rare whom the Lord loveth. Let's see. Oh yeah. No, it's in the New Testament. Hebrews 12:6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. You know, it sounds, what they call it, fatalistic or whatever, but if you really think about it, whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. If you superimpose that to your chart, who the soul has loved enough to grow, it creates a chart that will promote or provide the proper venue for growth. And sometimes we feel like we're being chastised by the cosmos. Why me? Because you were slated to grow. Now, the question is, are you going to allow the growth to occur? Are you going to keep trying to resist it? Or are you going to allow it to materialize? If there's something that needs to go away and decay and die off, are you going to allow it to die off so that you yet may live? I always remind everybody of that old Sufi saying, if you die before you die, then when you die, you will not die. Listen closely. If you die before you die, then when you die, you will not die. So the secret is to allow yourself to, allow yourself to go through the continued metamorphosis of change and evolution, which means you have to allow something to die in order for the new cycle to come about. Many times we're trying to fight to hold on to an old cycle that has died. I'm telling you from experience. And when I got to the point to finally let go of that cycle, this is the result All these books back here, these shits didn't usually exist. This broadcast, this body of work, this knowledge, this wisdom is a result of finally dumb motherfucker finally realizing that shit's dead. But I was trying to be Christ with Lazarus. Like, I'm gonna go back into the, but master, he stinketh. This is in the story. This is Lazarus' sister. Like, he stinketh, master. Where the fuck were you, Christ? My brother is dead and he stinks. Wherefore art thou, master? Well, Martha, I was fishing along the Sea of Galilee, old girl. But where is the stinking brother of yours? Arise, Lazarus, and wash thy ass. You know, I was trying to go and resurrect something that was a wrap. Curtains, Johnny, you know? And so when we get to that point where we accept the death, you know, when you look at the word die means to give, or death means to give. And then when you look up the word give, it means to give and receive. So the secret is that giving denotes exchange, and death then denotes exchange because it's part of this chain that leads back to giving and receiving. We got to give up something to receive something. That's why our universe is predicated on sacrifice. Ancient man built his advancement on a paradigm of sacrifice. Blood for blood. You know, that's what this part of this conversation is, me paying homage to. I've been showing this off. I'm gonna show it to y'all. This right here is a model of the tabernacle. I had my children build this for me. See, this is what Jewish parents who are Torah Jews, who will have some of their children do this, build this. This is for children, you know. And what this does is this is to seed the mythology into their minds. By having them do these little projects, it seeds the mythology into their minds to where it becomes theirs. Okay. But I know who I am. And I'll leave it at that. But you'll see here, you see, this is the tape. These are animals being sacrificed here. You see? So when they're sacrificed, they're going to give up blood. Okay. Now look at this right here. This is the actual tabernacle that's built in the wilderness. This is a sacred place that in the scripture, it says Elohim says to build this as a place to receive his essence, or his presence. So think about what this is. His essence, his presence would be semen. Okay. And this would be the female anatomy to receive it. That's what the tabernacle is. And it's got these little secret little compartments in here. I don't want to mess it up. But this same female anatomy gives up blood every month as a sacrifice. See, here they're going to sacrifice animals. The female anatomy gives up blood to ensure that it has the ability to receive and carry life. Everything is built on sacrifice. And so ancient man knew this and would hold this esoteric knowledge in symbolism. Now, the everyday person didn't understand that. They took everything at face value. But this is the mysteries behind what these things are. So anytime in scripture we see a tabernacle or a tent or an ark, it is referencing the feminine that was hidden in the Abrahamic religions. It was hidden. It's hidden in certain places. You know? So part of this conversation is me paying homage to that divine feminine aspect that has been suppressed and has been overlooked and is present even in the Aquarian paradigm, because air is less dense water. That's what air is. So the water bearer, the air is pregnant with water. So it was a fitting time to have this conversation, to follow the spiritual inclination other than what my rational mind had set out to do. And, you know, sometimes I will divine through my phone. Sometimes I don't get clarifying, but as much clarity as I want. But, you know, when I'm really, if I don't overdo it and I don't do it as a novelty and it's something I think I really need a serious, I'll take my phone and divine with it. And what you do is you just go to your music selection in iTunes and I'll hit shuffle. I'll ask a question and I'll hit shuffle on my iTunes and see what plays. And sometimes the title is just my last video. I was like, do I really want to do this? And I hit it. I said, should I do this topic and do it tonight? And Rod, what's my man? Do it, Roger, do it. Zap. That came up. I was like, this is just okay. That's right in your face. And sometimes you have to ask for clarification. That's just my own little thing. You know, you can play around and you can create your own systems anywhere, anytime you want to. That's just a sidebar. So that was what came up. This was the direction I was supposed to take. So that's why we have had this discussion. I hope it has made sense. It is 1:50. Woo, my God. I'm good gracious, and got on here and got long-winded. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Sage, that crazy. Yours truly. Oh, in the house. Nandy, Terry Lynn in the house. I think I got everybody. Yeah. So that concludes what I just, that little bit, and it will come back and talk more about it. But yeah, I just this is the thing of being able to look at your chart and figure out where you have these contentious placements and how they're teaching you how to learn. Sufis have a book, Learning How to Learn. you know, and so we must learn just how to be in a space of learning before we can actually learn anything. That's that Gemini aspect, you know, learning how to learn. Intelligence is based on the ability to know how to learn first, and then the actual learning second, you know, knowing how to learn. A genius will know how to learn how to pick up stuff anywhere. This is why the Sufis venerate the palm tree. And I'm not a Sufi, and no Sufi has told me this, but I know this is. I figured this out. Why the Sufi or one of the reasons that they venerate the palm tree, by watching a video, and I've said this before, watching a video that had nothing to do with nothing. I just stumbled across it. A guy was working on, somebody's foundation, and he said, you got to be careful with palm trees because they have roots that run really deep and they can travel a long distance. They're designed to seek water wherever they can find it. And I said, that's it. That's why you see the palm tree associated with the Sufi, because the palm tree will seek water wherever it can find it. And water is the liquid of life, rejuvenation. So seek water wherever you can find it. And that is what it's meant by learning how to learn. Is to be like the palm tree. Learn how to be in a state of constant awareness where everything's talking to you. And you can pick up, because magic is your ability to recognize messages that other people would otherwise wouldn't see if it smacked them in the face. That's a lot of what magic is recognition. The cosmos is magical, constantly talking, constantly giving instruction. May send somebody to get in front of you in a lane to deliver you a message. It might just happen that this person has a personalized tag. And that tag, these people ain't thinking nothing. They might have done it because they saw some show on TV, reality TV show, and I want to get this. But at that moment, that was for you. Somebody got a Mercedes around here. It's got chakra 6 on the Mercedes on the tag. So that particular day, you got to think, I see chakra 6. Think about what I got going on, Jamal. I just dropped off the kids at school. So something telling me that I need to focus on my brow chakra. You know, do I need to focus? You know, am I scattered? You know what I'm saying? Like being in tune with the divine. Tuning your radio in so you're picking up the station, because it's talking. It be talking, and guess what else? It listens. It listens. So we need to be careful what we're saying. It listens. It listens and it records it. And it's just like the DJ. You request it, it plays it. Oh, DJ Cosmos, I want to play this. Play My Life is Terrible. I ain't gonna never be shit. You heard it first. We're gonna next coming up by request. My Life's Terrible. I ain't gonna never be shit. Coming right up on the Cosmos Radio. DJ Cosmos. I can't find no peace. You've got it. Coming up next, you can't find no peace. You request it, we play it. You know, so be careful. All right. I said I'm wrapping up and went another 15 minutes, probably 17 minutes, I think. No, I went 7. It was 150. All right. You know how we do here on the late night grind. I come on, I kick it for a minute. So yeah, we kick it for a minute, then we do a little musical musing at the end. So would you all want to hear anything tonight? What is it that I can't play? I got some strike. It wasn't a strike, but something. I got a message about something I played. Something must not have been cleared or something. Or the person I got the beat from back in the day. They, you know, I used to do these lease beats and not really understanding these things. Is a flim flam. You pay these people, and you come back and they claiming rights, you know, not knowing the legality of things. You know, I'm trying to look for the email where it told me that I couldn't. Well, I think I know which ones I can't play. Let's see here what we got. I'll play this one.
Ella Flamenco. Birds with long legs lay ethereal eggs. To engender or create depends on what is said. The past life is the nourishment the soul is fed. That's why the Pisces feet touch Aries head. He immersed the blood and tissue on hospital bed. Bright light shines brilliantly, the nurse said. 8 pounds, 10 ounces, the mother's meds. Slowly wears off in pain, she cries. The same time she smiles, stares in her son's eyes. They glow bright like halogen, a sunrise. He takes his first breath. He inhales himself. At the helm is the all who engendered herself. Birds with long legs lay ethereal eggs. Words as well placed can ignite fire in heads. And heart, the wind plays its part, never led. The child understands that by art it's fed. Birds with long legs lay ethereal eggs. Words as well placed can ignite fire in heads. And heart, the wind plays its part, never led. The child understands that by art it's fed. He's exceptional, emerged from womb circumcised. Room full of spectacles, the flower bloom before their eyes. Through the blinds you could see clear skies outside. As if sweet chariots had swung down to offer rise. His future's unknown, the path he'll decide. They had the word to cast the chart for where his strengths lie. And his weaknesses too. Who will light his fire and put air under his shoes. The word. Birds with long legs lay ethereal eggs. Words as well placed can ignite fire in heads. And heart, the wind plays its part, never led. The child understands that by art it's fed. Birds with long legs lay ethereal eggs. Words as well placed can ignite fire in heads. And heart, the wind plays its part, never led. The child understands that by art it's fed. Life is a beautiful journey. When When the plane touched down, the seatbelt sign sound. She extinguishes tobacco, sips the last shot of Crown. Tray table up and seat back straight. Swiftly she moves through the airport gate. The Golden Beach beckons, for it she can't be late. Outstretched she lie, he from a distance. Sees her, no blur, yes it's persistence. She finds flattering and not to mention his accounts are ballots, no digits missing. As he approaches, she grabs her sunglasses with mother of pearl inlay. She's high fashion. He has Tomas from St. Thomas. Bring over pina coladas, breeze from Bahamas. Blows, they stroll, sip platitudes, he extols. They go to Hotel Nicholas de Avado. He checks Movado. It's time to show and prove this dude is smooth. Average dame's Drew, but she plays it cool. Maybe got it from my mother original game school. $6 million man, she's bionic. She been his wheel, magical tonic. With this heart in hand, away she's running. He don't peep the phonics, she is cunning. On this Caribbean island, it's coming. To see men drain, they don't see it coming. Till it hit him like the tail in the Haley's Comet. He enters a room, mixed drinks he consumed. Unknowingly is in it, the devil's womb. She plays Sinatra, followed by German opera. His eyes heavier, it's more than vodka. Overcome, he falls asleep. It's like a wolf in sheep. He is food, she hungers and she must eat. How can a hero survive in no control? The Dane blow Virginia Slim smoke out a nostril. You catch it later, the word foreshadow. Suddenly a knock on the door. It was Phil that said the herd screams from the fourth floor. He gains consciousness of age through the window. Fire escape, turns out he's got warrants in 3 states. Chevy Bear Air with 3 plates, 22, 4, 4 and 3-8. He played high stakes, got caught slipping. Now he's back on the highway, Britain dipping. Caribbean island.
Let's play like 2 more. Let's run this one. All right,
by lost souls couldn't find a way out. Fortunately, she found fine linens in the 9th inning. A Roman sin. This cloth, similar to Egyptian cotton, worn by an old Yemeni while salatin. The 5 pillars became the 5-finger discount. Stolen by lost souls, couldn't find a way out. Fortunately, she found fine linens in the 9th inning. A Roman centaur with his cohorts tried to tear her garments apart. Etruscan habit, ascot, like a ship captain, dry scotch. Rumor is she got family ties in Suma and Tulsa, okay, minus the sooner. Under the moonlit night, we serenade the goddess. Crooner, sidebar, the devil can't hurt you, only make you harm yourself. Kruger, mountain cougars, roam the west side of NC. Rugers, we're no longer juniors, we are seniors in our class. Eons have passed, shards of broken glass come together like satin threads. Milan Fashion Week. Yeah. On runways, guns blaze, cannons and Nikons place images in cage. Onlookers express fake rage, so concerned about the fact she hasn't eaten in days. The price of high fashion. Eastern Germany handler keeps the dame dashing. Several factions clashing. They all want in on the action. Between wardrobe changes, the weight of the world leaves certain anguish. Jet setters dine on smoked salmon, rice, pilaf in meat lawn. Red wine, dry blood drips on. Milan Fashion Week. drugged in a residence. Found face down and Trueless left no evidence. At least they thought so. They overlooked the P-code, colored P-coat, the last trace of a royalty. The pedigree is obvious, a chaos is orderly. Awful paradox, still she loyally dredges on with the soil and flees. Plutonian, scorpionic is a jabs. Underworld, chthonic just below the Av. Ma'ati-in, Saba'inim, the bottom at the top again. Question, is the ration fair you portion them? Probably not. Milan Fashion Week. She's so angry, that's how media label her. When she finally starts to stir, when her life's on review, the synagogue of Satan sits on the front pew. Always got a hand in every plot, hand in every pot, hand in the ass, prostate or not. Prostrate she will not. Apocalypse, this is her shot to balance scales. This won't be one hell of a story to tell. Milan Fashion Week. Milan Fashion Week. The best stories full of irony. Until the end it seemed that the victor would sink his ivories deeper in the flesh. Vital force sucked until there is nothing left. But then dramatic change ushers in a new era. The main character's revelation, no mascara. Under the gorgeous skin and beautiful grin lurks a fire that burns hotter than the scorching sand of arid desert land. In quiet, her soul draws nearer. She's surrounded by several mirrors. Through anger, sadness, and streaming tears, she cries, she scries. Divinating, there is no fear, just focused eyes. Kali Yuga, no more Uber. Instead, sweet chariots fly that are made from fire. So when chambers echo, she reply. Her fruit hangs low enough to reach high. Feet earth and head is sky. Arms stretch, oceans comply. Winds blow by, rustle leaves on trees. Every root, every stem through her breathes. Through every womb she conceives. Every thought that comes and leaves is her. So with the goddess we confer. And when we concur, it's all beautiful. Milan Fashion Week, the throne is now suitable. Milan Fashion Week, the throne is now suitable. Milan Fashion Week, the throne is now suitable. Milan Fashion Week, the throne is now. H.J. Robinson. I've been from the mountaintop to the valley lows, but through it all, I've managed to maintain my soul. Encapsulated in every raindrop that falls on my rooftop is a goal or a dream shot. By situations, circumstances, there ain't always second chances. You say you're holding, show me what you got. And I can't cope with these shattered hopes, and yes, my back's against the ropes. I'm blowing steam from my kettle pot. Lend me your ears, inside these tears is the pain associated with a man that's trying to find his spot. When you look in the eyes of your children and realize you can't supply the items of their desires, to when your pride drops and the buck stops here. To these fears I adhere until some income is near. I guess the picture won't be clear, so I keep plugging like a mule, still trudging on the rope I'm tugging. Try. It's not a relevant word, your visions get blurred. I'm lost with no shirt, I wonder why. And I don't know. No, what the future holds.
one, and we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, think music. Yeah. At any given moment, your ball can stop shining. So why waste time around core wire that's unwinding? It's more about the search than the secrets that you think you finding. And timing up at defending your zone like Bud Ryan. Your passion is your passport to the Parthenon. To be born to go light is the path we on. Join us. Journey to the other side, where hormones and sweet chariots ride, where planet stars, comets and asteroids collide. I'm so far out that I enter the inside of the inner circle. My coat purple, I decode dreams and blow violet, drink tea just herbal. Instead of running on wheels like gerbil, a hamster, I dare you to break glass like a crack bong in Amster. Damn. Jean-Claude Van Damme, windmill, kick snare, 1-2-am. I clear two bus, blow like Hoover Dam. King Henry in your lobby, send reporters, haters and fans. I'm on cocky standing G-stars, gators with callous hands. Damn it, feeling like a man who can take pink bunny meat and spam and turn it into 5-star dinner. A winner since a beginner, she is all wrapped up in my tenor. I'm a 10, she the H2, now we 20 proof when I'm in boom. 100 degrees Celsius true. Spit the slight gap too, squeeze grapes, drink juice, then we produce something sonically amazing when it's set loose. Reporting live from the other side, dressed in wetsuits. Occultum, tall black, 5 spikes, the Coopers, no ho hum, 6 liters will move you fast when there's no dice. Cockatoo, choo. Instead of chitter chatter, listen to the pitter patter of your cardiovascular. It shapes all the matter. The energy is singular and then it splits and scatters your dart to become the pitcher catcher in battle. I profess to know nothing, cause it's more I'm after. The reactor chose to step back and become the actor. The attitude and aptitude of an addict who fiend for God food. So please show gratitude, cause it elevates your altitude. A rap is packaged and bow it, then deliver it to you. My back is stronger, bow it, then give her this issue, do you? Wanna step inside this mad mind and maritime for Pepperdine to Palestine? I handle mine, then confide in confidant so we all can shine. Slow motion but show motion, nickels and dimes. Soon become the bag, we refuse to lie supine. You shouldn't either, let's go grind till we out of time. And intertwine with the divine like a serpent wrapped around the shit I'm tree. So when I write my next rhymes, I do it only with my mind with no speaking. The word will just vibrate the real that you seeking. Think music.
On that note, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank all of you all for allowing me to share with you my part of my journey. And I want to conclude by saying to the women in the world that as a man to apologize for some of the hurt that we bring to your table, to your lives at times, and to acknowledge that a lot of times some of the things we do is out of our own insecurity. There's something called vagina dentata, and it's a fear of the teeth of the vagina. And it's a more of a metaphorical thing, of course, but it's a subconscious thing of a realization of the power to be overtaken. And that's something subconsciously that runs through a man's mind where he is trying to overcome the fear of being overtaken by the feminine energy, because it also represents the power of the tune. And the ego wants to fight against the ultimate reality is that we all gonna die. And sometimes the way that we act as men is out of a subconscious longing to live. And it gets skewed. And when you read the mythology and you see that Asterisk is there, Asherah is there, Ishtar is there, mourning the loss of Tammuz. Isis is there, mourning the loss of Osiris. In other words, the feminine is always the one that lingers, because she has to be the one that's going to carry the seed into the next tomorrow. And so in the unevolved states of us as men, sometimes we're stuck in the Aryan aspect of Mars, where we just want to make sure that we survive. We don't want to have to go back. We want to go forward. We want to be. But then we have to get to the Scorpio side where we experience the death so we know what it is to transform and be something greater than we originally were. So part of me sharing this is sharing a brief glimpse into my own shadow as a sentient being, a man, you know, who gets on here and presents certain pieces of knowledge and wisdom. Because we're in the Aquarian age. And Pluto will be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. And we might as well keep it real. And we might as well show the path of growth and development. With that said, thank you again for sharing your positive energy. 720astrology.com is the place to go to work with me. There are multiple offerings over there to help enrich your journey. And on that note, I sign off, say, stay down till you get up. When you get up, stay down. And as always, know the stars, so know yourself. Peace.